One of the reasons Republicans won't do anything when it comes to gun control in this country because they pretty much have safe seats. You have a few safe seats on the Democratic side as well. It's all because of political gerrymandering, where pretty much those in power construct seats that give them the best chance to retain them. Well, today the United States Supreme Court will hear a huge case that could very well determine whether or not this continues or it ends. It is called one of the biggest election cases in decades. The court will hear the case of Gill versus Whitford, which is about political gerrymandering in Wisconsin. Critics argue certain methods used to draw the districts for partisan advantage are unconstitutional. A lower court found the Wisconsin districting map heavily favored Republicans. That was unconstitutional. If the Supreme Court upholds this ruling, it will change the way seats are constructed all across this country. Now, joining us to discuss this by phone in D.C., Kristen Clark, President and Executive Director of Lawyers Committee for Civil Rights Under Law. Joining us in studio is Nicole Austin Hillary, the Director and Counsel for the Brennan Center for Justice. I want to start with you, Nicole. When the guy who created how these seats are, the formula, how they're constructed, he said they are absolutely abusing his own research, abusing these particular techniques. They've gotten this thing down to a science and how they graft districts to really just remove enough people to guarantee supermajorities.
That's exactly right, Roland. And we did a report at the Brennan Center last year called Extreme Maps. And what our Extreme Maps report showed is that there is a problem across the country with legislators drawing these districts to ensure that one political party basically dominates, even in jurisdictions where they are not the majority of the registered voters. This is a problem for our democracy. It takes away power from the voters, and it basically ensures that the legislators, the map drawers, are determining who gets to make decisions for jurisdictions and for states. And that's a problem. Our democracy says that the voters are supposed to have the say-so, not the people who are drawing these maps.
Question is so pervasive that what Wisconsin did, they called in each legislator, made them sign a document saying they would not reveal what they learned to show them how they created these maps, these districts, to guarantee Republicans would win.
You know, in Wisconsin, when you look at the numbers, it kind of reveals what's so ugly about partisan gerrymandering. In 2012, Democratic candidates for the state assembly won 53% of the vote, but only won 39 of 99 seats. This case is about putting power back into the hands of voters. We shouldn't have a system that allows politicians to rig the maps and control the election results before voters even go to the polls and have a say about who they want representing them at the table. The Supreme Court for years has dodged this question of what constitutes partisan gerrymandering. This is one of the most important civil rights cases that will be heard by the Supreme Court today. And the hope is that Justice Kennedy will agree that these facts make clear that partisan gerrymandering strips away the voice of people and denies voters the opportunity to have a say about who represents them at the table. The one thing, though, that I want to make sure we don't leave out of this conversation is that while partisan gerrymandering is something that stands as a threat to democracy, racial gerrymandering is also a real evil that we are contending with.
Nicole, the fear here is that if the Supreme Court, with Neil Gorsuch having that critical fifth vote on the conservative side, if they allow this, this could lead to legislatures changing districts all across this country to guarantee Republican control.
It could very well do that.
Or Democratic control, whether in a few states they actually control.
Exactly. But here's what's interesting about this particular case. There has been bipartisan support for the argument that political gerrymandering is a problem. If you look at the amicus briefs that have been filed in this case, several of them have been filed by individuals who represent both political parties. If we go back as far as President Reagan has been on record saying that there is a problem with political gerrymandering. President Obama has talked about this and the fact that it is a problem. So this is not something that is just a Republican or a Democratic issue. There are experts and politicians from across the country who have said this is a problem for our democracy, and if we allow this to happen, it will have effects that will change our political process for decades to come. And we simply can't allow that to happen.
20 seconds, Christian, final comment.
When we look at what's happening across the country, we see this as a pervasive problem. The GOP controls both the state legislature and the governor's office in 25 states, while Democrats hold similar control in only 6 states. Let's hope that the Supreme Court does the right thing and pronounces a standard that makes clear when state lawmakers are violating the Constitution by engaging in unlawful partisan gerrymandering. But let's not forget that race is a part of this debate as well, and that we see lawmakers taking action to diminish the power of black voters and sometimes mask those evil objectives by calling it something by calling it partisanship.
All right, Kristen Clark, Nicole Austin, Hillary, appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Weekdays on TV One.
I will never lie to you.
Oh my God.
Roland Martin.
He doesn't want to talk to us. He wants to ignore us.
Uncensored.
Hell no. That ain't gonna cut it, boo.
Unapologetic.
No, that is fundamentally false. You are wrong.
Unfiltered.
He wants an America where we all look alike. He ain't talking about black people.
Unrelenting.
You better go work out, because you got a fight on your hands.
NewsOne Now with Roland Martin. Weekdays at 7 a.m. on TV One.